Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Unleash the Full Potential of Your Devices with Insight. Today, we have two awesome speakers, Brian Haradi, Director of Integration Services, as well as Matt Sparrow, Partner Business Development Manager at Insight. Before we begin, I do want to cover a few housekeeping items. At the bottom of your audience console are multiple application widgets that you can use. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can submit your questions in the Q&A box, and they will be answered during the presentation and at the very end if we don't get to it. You can also expand your slide area by clicking on the maximize icon on the top right of your slide viewer. And if you have any technical difficulties, please click on the help widget for assistance. We will have multiple poll questions throughout the webinar. And if you are able to answer all the poll questions, you'll be entered into a special giveaway for a $300 Amazon gift card. That's on top of a chance to win one of 20 $250 Amazon gift cards for joining today's event. At the end of the webinar, there will be a short survey, and if you could please take a moment to fill that out, that would be great. I'll now hand the deck over to today's speakers, and I hope you enjoy the webinar.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian Haradi. I am a Director of Integration Services at Insight. So just wanted to walk you through a little bit about my background, but today we'll go through just some of our capabilities, why utilize our facilities for deployment activities, lifecycle activities, reverse logistics, end-of-life activities. And then I really wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about, we'll talk about where we are, but I'm really excited to talk to you all about where we're going. So a little bit about my background. Started with Insight 16 years ago. I have held about every role possible at Insight. So everything from sales to procurement to project management, production scheduling, back-end client operations, to my current role today, which is overseeing all integration services for North America. When I stepped into this role 2 years ago, my primary focus was how can I, by the numbers, we're a very impressive operation, but how can I really set us up for the next 5 years? And how can I ensure that we're delivering world-class capabilities to our clients as well as our teammates? So some of the topics that we'll be going over today will be our fulfillment center capabilities. So looking at what is our footprint in North America, as well as what are some of the services that we can offer within that footprint. We'll talk about forward deployment, so our capability to just get devices out in mass out to the field. Sustainability services, so all of our reverse logistics and what we're doing there in order to keep devices out of the landfill and extend the life of the device for our clients. What are some of those outcomes that we're delivering for clients today? And then what does our fulfillment center of the future look like? So just to give you guys a quick overview of our existing fulfillment centers, we have our HQ in Chandler, Arizona, but our main facilities in the U.S. are Hanover Park, Illinois. It's about a 392,000 square foot facility there. Lewis Center, Illinois, about 120,000 square foot facility, and Fort Worth, Texas, which will be going live at it'll be soft launch in April of this year with a full launch around July, August of this year. In Canada, we have a new facility in Montreal and an existing facility in Calgary. The total deployment capacity between those two facilities is about 80,000 square feet. So just by the numbers, we want to talk about the scale. So our North American integration fulfillment centers, Hanover Park, like I said, is about 392,000 square feet. Lewis Center, 76,000, Worthington, Ohio, 120, and the Fort Worth, Texas facility, about 250,000 square feet. It's a little bit, when we look at Fort Worth, Texas in comparison, being our new facility coming online, a lot of the questions around, is the size, how does it compare to Hanover Park? We'll go through some of the speeds and feeds later in the deck. But what I will say is that 250,000 square feet, the way it is set up today with technology, modern technology, will get us an existing or a comparable throughput to our largest facility, which is Hanover Park, Illinois. We'll talk through some of the technologies on how we're going to get there. And then the 28,000 and 29,000 square feet in Montreal and Calgary. Some of the higher level services are forward deployment. So when we talk about our deployment capacity, this is where the majority of our deployment capacity is going to come from. So about 1.2 to 1.4 million configured devices can run through this forward deployment. It is a flex space, so it's designed to flex. And how we are able to accomplish that is we have other facilities that are kind of a warehouse within a warehouse setup where we have our infrastructure, our teammates. We are able to flex those up. We had a project that ran last year from a forward deployment perspective that we were able to deploy 60,000 devices, configured devices every single week, sustained for almost an entire year. And we'll talk about our sustainability lifecycle services. Our sustainability services are really the reverse logistics, where a lot of clients are going to see benefit from the sustainability services are teammate offboardings, site closures, the reverse logistics of lifecycle refresh events. So you send out a new device, you have to get that old device back and disposition it, potentially data wipe, legal holds, put it back to factory settings to try to get remarket dollars, or ultimately dispose of the device and potentially get some dollars for the scrap of that device. One of the things I'll focus on when we get to sustainability is the idea of OEM authorized repair. So Insight, there are essentially two types of service providers, three types of service providers that can do this today. And we categorize those into kind of have the mom and pop, no authorization, and they're, they can swap components, they're saving components. In some scenarios, and I don't mean to sound as harsh as it might, but are cannibalizing end-of-life products to maintain a pool of products. There are facilitators, which are utilizing OEM authorized repair by actually sending the device back to OEMs. And then there's actual authorized service providers. One of the things that differentiates Insight is we are authorized service providers. So we are doing OEM authorized repair on behalf of the OEMs. We have a special projects capability. So we'll dive a little deeper into some of the clients that we service, but really the differentiator here is we're giving clients access to our centers to stand up their processes, their procedures, augmented with our teammates, our staff, and our certifications to stand up whole data centers, whole cruise ships, custom processes, whole ingesting whole fulfillment centers on our clients' behalf into our own. So they have the access, and we can give them custom processes. So as an example, one of the clients we'll talk about has about 260 custom processes within our centers today. And then the last piece, and really, if I'm being totally transparent, probably the smallest piece of our business today is our data center capability. But it's one of the main reasons why we landed on standing up a new facility in Fort Worth to expand this capability and provide a well-rounded suite of offerings to our clients. So just rough numbers, right? 2 million configured devices plus a capacity to do about 60,000 a week. Do about 600,000 sustainability events every single year. And about 100,000 to 120,000 of those we're actually utilizing our repair certifications to put devices back to factory specs. About 3.5 million supported devices. So what I mean by that is we do full fleet offerings for clients where we are supporting all of their devices in the field that are ultimately coming back to Insight at some point that would play into that 600,000 sustainability events, and about 12.5 million pieces shipped. One of the other pieces that really sets Insight apart is our ability to have flexible inventory programs, or what we call supply chain services. So this is a number of different inventory programs. We run 4 different inventory programs today to meet any type of specific invoicing and or schedule requirements. So if you want us to invoice within 30 days of us bringing the product in, if you want us to invoice up front when we bring the product in, if you want us to redeploy product that's already been deployed at some point that maybe wasn't even purchased through us, we have offerings for this, both near and intermediate term. Now, when we talk to near and intermediate term, just so I can define that a little bit, our facilities, when we look at our facilities, are designed as throughput facilities. They're not designed to just house a ton of inventory. While the inventory they can warehouse is substantial, it's not meant to just sit. So when we say near and intermediate terms, we're always kind of targeting a 30 to 60 day turn on the product, with an ideal state being near that 30 days. So a little bit more in depth on forward deployment. So we talked about the 1.2 million devices we have annually. We have about 6,500 square feet. That is not including the Texas facility that will be coming online here this year. Today, we have about 230 certified and cross-trained team members, but that's not the full breadth of our team. These are just the teammates that are putting hands on devices, technicians that are putting hands on devices every single day. There's a whole subset of support teammates that are making sure that this is going forward flawlessly. So that way, any hiccups, or what I'll call sometimes our internal labyrinth, is not visible or not felt by our clients. You essentially place an order, the order goes in, and it gets routed through our centers uninterrupted, or a frictionless experience for our clients. So all of those teammates can be teammates that are in planning capacity. So looking at what's our throughput, making sure that we're swizzling teammates or moving teammates around to where the work is, or working to move our teammates, our work to where our teammates are. In some scenarios, it might be moving locations in order to meet a tight deadline. They're putting together labor plans to make sure that we have the appropriate staff in the next 90 days to meet our volumes. They're putting together, working directly with our clients, sometimes in a deployment management or deployment coordination, but having that one-to-one relationship with our clients, talking about where is all of these orders within our environment. And oftentimes, we are driving towards a delivery schedule. So, in a lot of the scenarios, we are deploying assets to new facilities that in real world don't even have a roof over the facility yet. So shipping, product to these facilities, showing up early is considered as much a miss as showing up late. So just making sure that our delivery is hitting the appropriate time frame. We do about 5,000 expedited orders every single month. And so when I talk about expedite, we essentially have an expedite offering where we have separate benches and the ability to flex our labor to meet those scenarios where a client needs it now. They don't want to wait, or they can't wait the standard 3-day, 5-day SLA for the service. They have a site that's down. They have a server that needs to get to a retail storefront, brick and mortar location. In a real world scenario that we dealt with just recently, a server went down in a retail storefront that was costing them about $20,000 per day, right? And so we have the ability to work with the client, move those to the front of the line, and then get them out the door for AM overnight delivery to meet those expectations and get that location back up and running. Some of the benefits that our clients see are seamless imaging and configuration of IT hardware. This will include autopilot and white glove provisioning that we'll talk about later in today's webinar. But accelerated schedule management, the ability to flex that schedule back, forwards, backwards, to meet whatever expectation you might have. Improved inventory management, so we have specialists that can work with your teams around material planning to ensure that you have inventory just in time, but we're not putting you at a risk of having too much inventory if something were to go wrong with that inventory, or if a project needs to scale down. Give you a customized end user experience, like everything from, you know, just placing a standard order that's going to move through, all the way to a customized feel of understanding when your inventory is going to show up, giving you visibility as to where your order's at in the movement, customized dashboards if we have a substantial amount of orders, so that way you're not trying to, you know, manage one or two orders. You can manage by exception with our deployment team, and reduce shipping costs, right? So looking at optimizing what's the best facility for you to deploy from. So something we're constantly looking at with our clients is pulling up the heat map of where is their shipments. Does it make sense to be in one facility over another? Does it make sense to look at multiple facilities and run inventory programs within multiple facilities? We can have those conversations. We have the expertise to have those conversations to what makes the most sense based on your current requirements. Some of the services that we offer here will be around basic asset tagging. We do laser etching. We see clients that exist in two pools here. We have some clients that are essentially, we want to etch everything because school districts are notorious for this. Because in the event the item shows up on eBay, we want to be able to identify it and recover that device quickly. And then we have another set of clients who are, under no circumstance do we want it known what the device is and who owns the device, because if it ends up on eBay, I don't want to drive the price higher, potentially having some of our data on it. So kind of two schools of thoughts around that, but an offering that we can put into place. And we've etched everything from laptops, desktops. We are currently MC9090 scanners, where we can put asset tag information unique to that device etch it directly into the scanner. And currently we're actually working on a project where we are etching Oculuses, where we have a client who's trying to provide a better virtual experience for their remote users to show up in meetings utilizing a virtual reality environment. And so we are deploying those Oculuses to their end users, so that way their end users can meet in a virtual environment, and they wanted it etched so that way they could, if it shows up on eBay, they can keep that device. They can quickly identify that device. We can do hard drive memory installs and upgrades, MDT, MECM. We still do some SCCM provisioning, autopilot provisioning, iOS, Android. We are one of 3 providers in the world that is currently utilizing Apple's provisioning unit to deploy devices at mass for Apple, router switch and WAP configuration, advanced VPN configuration, and application encryption installation. So special projects. So this is one that's, you know, we've seen a massive need for over the past 5 years. These are customized cages, customized labs specific to the client needs. So a couple of the clients that we are currently leveraging or utilizing in this space, we have one of the largest healthcare providers in North America currently utilizing this space. We have 260 custom processes for that healthcare provider. Just in terms of scale, we are deploying about 480 new hire activities, life cycle activities every single day, and about 120 break fix events every single day for this particular user. So total about 600. We actually just completed a expansion project for them, where our goal is to get to 900 devices every single day within the next 12 to 18 months. And as we stand up Texas, one of the benefits is kind of a built-in BCDR plan for a lot of our clients. They're looking to build out another space in that center to do another 900 devices per day, where we would have built-in redundancy. So that way, if either one center came down for any reason whatsoever, we could immediately switch all of our work to support break fix, to support M&A, to support new hire, and turn off life cycle, potentially M&A, so that way we maintain their fleet during any type of outage that we might have. The other benefit is we can get really customized solutions, and this would include customized infrastructure. So when we talk about the cruise ships as an example, today, and this is a client that is always an advocate for us, always allows us to utilize their name in conversations, is Royal Caribbean Cruise Ships. So we currently deploy all of the Oasis class cruise ships across North America, or across the world. And it's about a 13-year partnership at this point. We've deployed 19 cruise ships out of our facility. And if you're familiar with these cruise ships, they're about 5,000 to 6,000 cabin size cruise ships, about 3 football fields long. And we are deploying everything that powers that cruise ship, with the exception of gaming equipment and navigational equipment. But in order to provide that experience, really test that equipment in a live environment or like a simulated environment, we have all of their navigational equipment and satellites on our roof. So we are operating as if we are a cruise ship. It takes us about 5 months to build a cruise ship. It's always the longest cruise ship in the world. So kind of fun fact, every cruise ship is about 3 meters longer than the last one. So they could claim it's the longest one in the world, the longest one currently at sea. But all 5,000 to 6,000 access points within all of the cabins, all of the cabin level switches, all of the card readers at the door, the data center, the entire network, all comes into our facility over the course of 5 months, gets burned in, gets crated up. Our technicians actually leave our facility in Hanover Park and will go meet that ship where it's being built and help integrate that product within the cruise ship. We stay on board for all of the sea trials and its first three maiden voyages. Inevitably, when we talk about this, when we're within our centers, there's always somebody who says, I want that job. And I will tell you, if you're thinking about it, that is not a job you want. If you've ever watched Titanic, and then you have Jack and you have Rose, our technicians are essentially Jack when they are on the ship. There's no amenities while they're on the ship. They get basic meals, no bars, and they are out at sea for sometimes weeks at a time as they're doing the install. We also have custom power solutions. So today we are running DC power into our facility, and we're also running European voltage to support some of our clients in the UK. And the last piece is, I've talked about it a few times, is all of the custom processes. So, I've talked about, we have one client that has 260 custom processes, but we literally will customize anything from receiving processes, integration processes, utilizing automation to do deployment if the client needs us to, custom shipping processes. So that way, when it shows up to the end user, they're opening up the box. In a lot of scenarios, they are providing just a phenomenal experience to new hires, as they've determined that this experience to their new hires is paramount to retaining that teammate and being one of the hirers of choice to a lot of teammates out in the world. Our sustainability offering. So really, what is the core of our sustainability offering? It's really 5 things, and I'll talk about why we call it sustainability versus life cycle, repair centers, disposals. But it is advanced exchange motion. So you have a user out in the field that drops a laptop. That laptop is broken. They enter a ticket into a ticketing system. That ticketing system routes directly to us. and we will deploy an asset. Our cutoffs are super tight. Our SLAs are super tight. So in this scenario, if an order drops or a ticket drops by 2 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. local time, we are configuring and shipping that device same day. In most scenarios for overnight AM, if not just overnight delivery, depending on where it's shipping in the world. Asset centralization programs. So our ability to ingest large volumes. There's all sorts of clients that will take advantage for these asset centralization or rush deployments. And so if you think about, we had an insurance company that wanted to be able to deploy assets to areas of the country that were hit by natural disasters, and they need laptops, desktops, all of this infrastructure, servers deployed to an area so they can process claims, and then ultimately brought back, cleaned, tested, put back to factory specs or image, so that way they're ready for that next deployment. One of our largest accounts actually in Q4 of last year was an account that had to downsize rapidly. So they went from about 7,500 to about 3,800 teammates overnight. And we were able to go in and recover all of those devices, issue call tags, ship boxes, bring them all back into our facility, clean them up, put them back to factory specifications. And in a lot of scenarios, we're able to get them remarketing dollars for these devices to help them out in a tough situation. We have rush deployment capabilities. Inevitably, it seems like every company is always bad at planning new hires, which never totally makes sense to me, but a lot of the times we are doing rush deployments of new hires. We are doing rush deployments of they had a teammate start, or a teammate's device is lost or stolen, and we need to get a device out to them immediately. We can do retrievals of life cycle events, and ultimately leading to disposal and remarketing. So a little bit of background on why we have rebranded to sustainability. And it's really because our clients have led us to the realization that we used to do this for just PCs only, desktops, laptops. And what we've seen over the years is a lot of clients have started looking at peripherals. I mean, no exaggeration, we have some clients that are trying to do this for keyboards and mice. But we see a lot more currently going to docking stations, especially as docking stations are becoming more robust, more expensive. Monitors, again, same concept, right? We're seeing 37-inch curved monitors going out to end users. It used to be that the cost to replace the monitor was equal to the cost of our services. And what we're seeing now is that is no longer the case. The monitors have gotten more expensive in a lot of scenarios, or our clients are a lot more conscious about keeping devices out of landfills. So if they hired a teammate, that teammate's only been on board for a year, they were originally shipped 2 brand new monitors, there is still a lot of life left in those monitors. And they don't, instead of just disposing of it or having the teammate send it to a landfill or retrieving it and send it to a landfill, they will recall those devices, have us clean them up, have us test them. In some scenarios, have us repair them, so glass, bezels, etc., and then ultimately put them back into stock and redeploy them. Today, our active client list, we have about 18 of the Fortune 50 companies currently utilizing this service. Fiscal year 23, we ended about just shy of 700,000 events, and our service level attainment was 99.8% for same-day ship. But this offering is for all clients. We have clients in financial services, hospitality, retail, healthcare, and education. And then just to give you guys, we talked about ASPs, but one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is how many manufacturers we are authorized for. So, and actually kind of a fun story that I'll highlight really quick, but we have so many, we deal with like Samsung, more towards retail type devices, where when we start going down this path with a lot of these manufacturers, they'll start asking us questions like, well, are you going to log the teammate or the end user who comes into your facility? Are you going to be able to capture their cell phone information and their email address? And it's like, quite literally, we have to explain to them that we're not doing this for individual users. We are not a retail storefront. We have to bring them into our facilities to show them the types of offering and what we are doing so we can rewrite a contract specific to our service offering. But today, we are authorized service providers, so both in warranty and out of warranty for HP, Dell, Lenovo, Microsoft, Apple, and Samsung, and are currently in the process, just finalizing the process for Acer, as we're starting to see Acer monitors penetrate a lot of our clients. So the benefit that we see from that is twofold from being authorized service providers, really twofold. One is the time that we're able to repair and turn around these devices for our clients. So in a normal facilitation motion, we typically would see anywhere of 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm not knocking any of the facilitation. We still do some facilitation in our environment. So, you know, some manufacturers have not come around to this just yet. And so we do still offer some facilitation services depending on the manufacturer. But when we're utilizing these authorized service providers and components are readily available, which oftentimes we do see about, you know, we can get components in about 2 days. We see our time from receipt, triage, and repair go from a typical 3 to 4 weeks, what you'll see with a facilitator, down to about 3 to 4 days. We receive the product, we can triage it in some scenarios same day, we get it into a repair area, our technicians put hands on it, and our teammates that are ordering components sit with the technicians in the same area as the technicians. They can order components quickly. Those products that generally come in overnight or 2 day. It'll get back on the bench. We'll repair the device, send it back through OEM diagnostics, confirm it's been repaired correctly, and put it back to good stock in as little as 3 to 4 days, depending on the manufacturers. The other benefit that we see is, and this was the differentiator for us to go to ASP versus a facilitator. Some manufacturers don't do break fix. They do what's called advanced exchange, kind of like what we're doing. But when we're doing it within that client's pool of devices. The difference that we see with some of these manufacturers is we ship back an HP 840 G12 that needs to be repaired, and they would send back a like-for-like HP 840 G12, not necessarily that client's 840 G12. And the problem is, then we run into a scenario where we might be introducing a device into that client's environment that came from another client and potentially might have some hazardous data on it, et cetera. So we made the decision to go to ASP so that way we can control that for our clients and didn't run the risk of entering another client's products into their pool. So what does this all translated to? We are ISO 9001 certified within our integration centers. Part of that is maintaining all of these metrics, doing surveys for our clients, NPS surveys for our clients, the overall satisfaction surveys for our clients, and that is auditable both internally and externally. So we get audited every 6 months by Perry Johnson, who's our ISO auditor, and they verify our performance metrics. So 2023, we ended 99% SLA attainment. That's both from an integration perspective as well as a 99.6% same-day ship. So when it gets done in integration or the order drops in integration from integration back to our shipping team, they are shipping those the same day they are completing. Our client satisfaction is 63.6. This usually hovers anywhere this year. 2023 started about 60. We eked up just a little bit to 63.6 in the second half of 23 survey. Our goal is to get to 80. So we measure this 2 different ways. One is our decision makers at our clients, what is their satisfaction, and the end users at clients, what is their satisfaction. Those in the scenario, if I look at one of our largest accounts running through right now, their most recent QBR, their end user satisfaction was an NPS score of 78. And their satisfaction of our top 40 accounts that were just surveyed last year was 63.6. So just to put that into perspective, what does that mean for those on the phone who might not understand how that's calculated? It's basically so Bain is who created the NPS survey. It takes your 9s and 10s. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to certify, or how likely are you to recommend Insight as a fulfillment partner? Those 9s and 10s are considered promoters. 6s and 7s and 8s are considered passives, and that score is completely thrown out. 0 to 6 is considered detractors, and what they do is they take your percentage of promoters minus your percentage of detractors and give you a finalized score. So Bain categorizes anything above 50 as best in class and anything above 80 as world class. So today you can see we're hovering kind of right in between best in class and world class. Our goal is to get to world class. We had a 99.99% quality attainment. So how real is that? I always get this question of like, how actual is that? We do internal quality and external quality. What we present to our clients is our external quality. So did we catch an issue internally before it went out to a client? We do a 100% QA check on everything. Last year, we did about 2 million configured devices. We had about 300 devices get out to the field that impacted clients. About nearly 1 million square feet of fulfillment integration space when our Fort Worth facility comes online. And in 2023, our last survey, 70% of the clients surveyed described the overall experience with our centers as fantastic. So I saw some questions. I've been monitoring the QA. They're coming a little faster, but I know we'll spend a little bit of time going through these at the end. A couple of the questions are, what types of technology are we utilizing to deliver this? And I'll go through some of that, but really, so our Insight is in the process of standing up a new Texas facility. We are also in the process of looking at and ingesting all of this latest technology. So when we look at our Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas facility, it is really bringing us 3 capabilities that we don't have today. So that facility is a 250,000 square foot facility. Pictured here, the picture I have is a artist rendering, because that facility is still in construction. We have 4 walls and a roof at this point, but they are in the middle of adding all of our racking, all of our internals, bathrooms, walls, break rooms, all of our charging stations, our integration centers. Everything that we need to run this facility is currently in the process of being built. The main construction is currently set to be completed in April of this year, and with a full go-live plan for around August of this year. But the 3 capabilities it's bringing us is next-gen logistics, so goods-to-person AMR technology, very narrow aisle technology, utilizing automation and AI to make smart decisions on where we place products, how it gets warehoused, where it's going to get, how it's going to get picked, when it gets picked, how it gets integrated, etc. We'll run through some of that in a little bit. It's going to give us a expanded data center integration capability. So, I tried to just, call it like I see it. And one of the things when I came into this role is like, wow, we kill it when it comes to forward deployment. We kill it when it comes to sustainability. We are market competitive to market leading in both of those spaces. And we should be proud of that, right? But where a lot of our competitors are still eating our lunch is our data center integration. And it's not that we don't have the skill set, it's that we don't have the power or the facilities in order to really stand up a ton of racks concurrently. So if I were to look across my network today, we could probably burn in about 20 populated racks concurrently. And that's across our entire network in North America. We really wanted to go big in Texas. So we built out a dedicated build room and a dedicated burn-in room to give us the ability to do about 60 concurrent racks just from a burn-in perspective. So 60 burning in, 60 building with a ballpark about 48 to 72 hour burn-in time that we see with the majority of our clients. The ability to do about 100 populated racks every single week out of this facility. And another huge investment that we made into this facility is we constantly get approached from our clients of what's your BCDR plan? What's your, in the event something happens in Hanover Park, how does that impact us? And we are able to do that somewhat ad hoc today, but really focusing on built-in redundancy by adding an EMC PowerFlex system that will replicate cross facility. So our Hanover Park facility and our Fort Worth facility will have the exact same ability to deploy client assets if they're on our network within our system. So today we see the majority of our clients are on our network. We have a few scenarios where they are not on our network, but it gives us a built-in BCDR plan to be able to shift work almost immediately to another facility. So we talked about the AMR technology. Again, I saw some of the questions around technology, but a quick video. I have a quick video, about a 2-minute video, and I'll speed this up. I know we're running short on time here, but the AMR technology we selected is Geek Plus technology. I'm hopeful that as we transition, there we go. So a really quick layout of some of our facility, and I'm going to move really quick because I got to pass it over to Matt. So we talked about the AMR technology. We talked about 40,000 square feet of integration space, DNA racking. The only piece I haven't really touched on is really utilizing that automation. So utilizing AI to identify when product comes in based on average daily consumption, range of coverages, where product should go, where it should be warehoused, should it go in our Geek Plus AMR farm, should it go in our racks, and then utilizing technology on the outbound as well to weigh products, understand that if the device weighs 5 pounds and the box weighs 6 ounces, that as it goes on the conveyor system, it should weigh 5 pounds, 6 ounces with whatever appropriate dunnage. And if it doesn't, reroute it for a QA check. But our goal today, if I look at Hanover Park and our facilities, we can get from order to truck in about 45 minutes to an hour. In this Fort Worth facility, we'll be able to get from order to truck in as little as 30 minutes, and with a lot less resources, without having to drive teammates up and down aisles, having the racks and the technology drive to the teammates, and utilizing AI to get products out quicker. We do have a couple of poll questions. If you guys want to take a minute and go ahead. Again, we're going to try to move pretty quick here. So first question is, are you open to a device road mapping session with your Insight contact and resources? You guys just want to take a minute and go ahead and select an answer.
Hey, Brian, while those folks are answering those questions, I'm not sure if you wanted to touch, a lot of the questions that came in were around data protection and sustainability. I'm not sure if you'd like to briefly touch around those two topics and how Insight kind of helps in those areas.
So around sustainability, what specifically? Did you have any specific questions that you'd like me to answer? I see about 50 in the...
Yeah, there's quite a few. I think one of them was how we work with our partners primarily to, move forward in sustainability, assure sustainable packaging, sustainable materials, and everything we do.
That's a really good question. We actually spent a lot of time talking about, what types of new technologies are coming out. What are they designing for monitors? Monitors are always the worst when it comes to putting together some type of sustainable packaging, especially because with a lot of our newer generations, we find that a lot of the end users really struggle to put together a monitor. And in real world scenarios, we have clients that say that their average end user doesn't have a screwdriver, right? So in a lot of scenarios when we're utilizing our sustainability centers, we are shipping stand on and already installed. And that just creates a whole nother world of challenges because shipping a monitor with the stand on in a box and ensuring that it doesn't get damaged in transit is a major challenge. So we've worked with Dell, we've worked with HP, we've worked with LG and Samsung to understand what types of technologies they're using. We're seeing a lot of the market go to engineered airbags. So it used to be that we would see the majority of clients utilizing wire cut foam. But today there's a few providers out there that do engineered airbags that secure both the stand and the sides of the monitor and provide security as it's traveling. So if it does get knocked on the sides, it's not impacted. And the actual screen itself and the stand itself are protected in the center of the box, not along the edge of the box. That we'll see a lot of manufacturers that put the screen right up against the edge. We have it more centered in the box so it doesn't get damaged in transit. But we're constantly looking at newer technologies for a few different reasons, right? Wire cut foam is really expensive. It's really bad for the environment. The foam that you spray into boxes also really bad for the environment. And they're hazardous materials that are difficult to deal with. So as much as possible, we are trying to go to engineered airbags, and we're trying to, as much as possible, repurpose boxes so that we're not sending them to recycling. We have about 146, so I'm going to move to the next poll question. The next poll question is, would you like to explore lifecycle services further with Insight? Did you have Matt, was there another question, or Luke?
Yeah, there's a couple more questions. So with security and data regulation, we have a lot of questions about how we comply with data protection and privacy laws, how integration plays into that, and zero-touch provisioning.
Yeah, so I know we're going to go into zero-touch provisioning right after this, talking about Autopilot. But from a security standpoint, so it is definitely a conversation up front with our clients, especially when they're putting products on our network. So when they're putting deployment servers on our network or data on our network, our network is obviously behind Insight's firewall. So we do have our Insight corporate security as an overlay to what's going on within our facility. But then we also have a mapping of routing to ports on the bench when we're deploying configurations. We have a team that manages the actual making sure that the appropriate port is with the appropriate bench and appropriate client. And then we do go through, we have looked at PCI compliance and ISO 27001 over the past couple of years. However, in working with our clients, so 3 of the 4 largest financial institutions in North America have equipment within our data center today and are deploying from our data center. We spent a lot of time working with them to satisfy all of their security needs. But I would say it's definitely a tailored conversation that needs to be had at a client level when they're looking to ingest product into our data center. There's not one good blanket answer that I'm going to be able to give here. I don't feel.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
About 81 responses, so I'm happy to move on. Rachel, if we're happy to move on as well.
Yeah, and maybe with the last couple minutes you're able to stay on, you can answer a couple questions in the chat and Matt can get started.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to answer anything you guys might have. Thanks a lot.
Sure thing. And thank you, Brian, for your time today. Good afternoon, everyone, or morning, depending on where we're located. I'm on the East Coast. But Matt Spiro here. I am a partner development manager for the Windows business here at Insight. That is a fancy title just to say I work with Microsoft to help our clients leverage Windows Autopilot, as well as some other key features coming through the Windows program, such as Windows 11. A couple key things I wanted to touch on briefly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Before we dive into the intricacies of Autopilot specifically, is the Windows 10 end of support that is upcoming. The reason that the end of support for Windows 10 is so important, the prerequisites for Autopilot, as well as the prerequisites for Windows 11 are the same. So if you do have a machine that can upgrade to Windows 11, that machine can be deployed through Autopilot. And if you have a machine that, of course, can be deployed through Autopilot, those machines can upgrade to Windows 11. So real quick, I just wanted to touch on June 11th of 2024 will be the end of support for Windows 10 21H2, and October 14th, 2025 will be the end of support for Windows 10 22H2. Now, there are a bunch of dates up here. I don't want to dive into them just for the interest of time, but I know we're all aware that as of right now, all machines coming from manufacturers that are being purchased are on Windows 11. So if we're not ready for Windows 11 yet, there's going to be a decent amount of work required to walk those machines back. And I did also want to mention that as of today, there is no easier time to upgrade these machines to Windows 11. Windows 11 can be pushed down to your machines via a feature update. And Windows 11 is actually built on Windows 10. If you actually break down into the version history, it will say Windows 10.2022H2 still. Or what are we on now? 23H2. As of today, Windows 11 is the most secure, reliable, and compatible operating system that has been released. It is built on the principles of Zero Trust. The hardware and silicone-assisted security features in Windows 11, including the TPM 2.0 chip I had mentioned, as well as the firmware and identity protection included, the direct memory access, and even memory integration protection, all help to protect core parts of the operating system, as well as the user's credentials, as soon as that device powers on. Microsoft has worked with their Silica partners to achieve CPUs that are currently reporting in a 99.8% crash-free experience that allows our users to stay up and to be productive more often. Less blue screens kicking us off and ruining our presentations that we've been working on all day. But the last thing I want to touch on is the compatibility. Very important here. Microsoft is taking responsibility for application compatibility with Windows 11. They have released the Aperture program, which in a box is one of their engineers will work with you to ensure that your applications will function. And if you have any applications that are not functioning or are causing problems, Microsoft will work with you to remediate that. To date, they have validated and verified over 1 million applications for functionality with Windows 11. But diving into the intricacies of Windows Autopilot, Windows Autopilot is Microsoft's zero-touch provisioning methodology, meaning that we could ship devices directly to an end user if we have remote end users without the need of these machines being touched by our IT staff. At its base level, Autopilot will take care of the registration into Entra and the enrollment into Intune. So no one needs to enroll these machines themselves. No one has to import scripts to get these machines imported into Intune. It gets taken care of as that machine boots on. Using Autopilot, you can predefine a company logon page. The best way to explain this is when I got my new machine here at Insight, I turned it on, connected it to the internet, and before anyone here had even touched that machine, because that machine was shipped directly to me, the front screen said, "Welcome to Insight. Please log in with your user credentials." So those end users, me in this scenario, we never have the opportunity to log in with a local profile. We cannot log in with a school account. It directs you only to those Azure credentials or Entra credentials. You can also disable the local admin permissions, ensuring, once again, that the only account on these machines is that Entra account that you had predefined. Utilizing the pre-deployment profiles within Intune, you can streamline that out-of-box experience by pre-configuring some settings for your end users, such as, for example, the Microsoft terms and conditioning, or setting the keyboard or the region. All these screens can be predefined, allowing your users to get straight to a sign-in page, straight to a desktop, and right to work. I do want to call out that Windows Autopilot is an OEM agnostic software, so it can be used to provision any machine that is running the Windows operating system. That does include, of course, your Lenovo, your HP, your Acer, Asus, as well as your HoloLens and HoloLens 2 devices. Now, for a normal Autopilot deployment, that machine will arrive at the end user, you'll log into the device, and then for about 2 hours, the device will be at a holding screen while it connects to the internet and pulls down all of your settings. Optionally, you could choose to pre-provision these machines for your users. In order to pre-provision a device, it would have to be touched by either your IT admins inside your organization, or optionally, you could leverage the expertise of a partner, such as Insight, to pre-provision these machines on your behalf. That would allow roughly 95% of that installation process to take place before we even ship the device. When your end user receives that machine, it'll be fully provisioned. The only thing left to configure on that machine would be anything user-specific, such as user settings or maybe a user-specific niche application. However, they're down for maybe 1 to 2 minutes compared to 1 to 2 hours, and they're allowed to get straight to work. So I want to walk you through the legacy experience when it comes to procuring and deploying a machine, just to better help us understand where we're at today. So for our clients who are not leveraging modern deployment, say we have Nancy here, that's who I like to think of as our end user. Nancy could be an existing end user. She could be a brand new user to our organization. Regardless of the need, Nancy needs a new device. So first things first, in our legacy scenario, Nancy would have to contact her level 1 service desk. Let them know, hey, my machine's not working and I need a new one. That level 1 service desk will then have to contact the level 2 service desk to get approval. Yes, this machine's definitely not working. We'll push this onto procurement so they could order a new device. Procurement or purchasing would then have to select the new device that fits Nancy's role. Make sure that her persona is not getting some crazy $3,000 machine if she doesn't need it. And on the same coin, make sure she has a machine that is capable of doing her work. Procurement will push that approval onto management, who will then have to give the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Yes, this is good. We could order this device or not. Needless to say, after 5 different people have been brought into the conversation, we can now order this new device from Nancy. So the device will be ordered from the OEM, who will then ship that machine to our headquarters or our service desk or our IT admin, who will then ensure that device is properly being managed and tracked in an asset management. They will then ensure that the correct image is on that device, including the user profile and the applications that will be required for Nancy to do her job. From here, depending on the use case, Nancy could be an in-office employee, she could be a remote employee. If Nancy is in the office, desk side support could deliver that machine to help her through the out-of-box experience and ensure that device is properly enrolled. Make sure it has the proper group policy settings, make sure it has the proper applications, and make sure her settings do match as they were prior so that Nancy could work seamlessly. Optionally, that device could also be shipped remotely, which increases the delivery time as well, a couple more days. Nancy will pull that machine out of the box. She'll walk through the out-of-box experience to the best of her capability. If she needs assistance, she could always phone into the service desk to get some help there. But this is our legacy deployment situation. On average, we've seen about 22 days lead time from when Nancy's machine breaks initially or from when she's hired and she needs a new device to the moment she's back online on her new device. She was down for about 22 days. Now, in our modern scenario, I do want to just upfront let you all know, we're expecting that time to be about 3 days, and I'd be more than happy to show you all why. So in the modern device provisioning scenario, I do want to be upfront and say this scenario can be replicated across Google. It can be replicated across Apple. However, for just this situation, we're going to talk about Autopilot and Windows machines. So we still have Nancy, who still needs a new machine. Given that Nancy's organization is set up in Insight's self-service portal, our e-commerce portal, Nancy would have already had predefined personas and lists of devices that were approved by her management that she can choose from. So Nancy's manager could send her the link so that she could go pick out one of those devices herself, or a procurement manager could take that off her plate and just order the machine for her. Regardless, she has a preset list of machines that she'll be able to choose from. As soon as we receive that self-service portal request, we will notify you and your team. Say that device brought your Insight warehouse stock below a certain threshold, we could let you know that you're running low on machines and you need to increase or reorder some more. However, Nancy and her team will be updated with all shipping and tracking notifications for this machine. But before we could even ship this machine out of our warehouse, we will pull it from your predefined warehousing. As Brian was hinting to earlier, our warehouses are conveniently located in the same buildings as our labs. They're attached to each other. So we'll be able to move the device from the warehouse to the labs seamlessly and get that device on our bench. We'll connect it to the internet with an Ethernet cable. We will hit the Windows key 5 times. That is the trick, the key that pulls down all your settings from Intune. Granted that the device is already enrolled in your Intune portal. These devices can then be asset tagged as needed. They could be kitted with a welcome package, something like monitors or keyboards or peripherals, whatever you'd like your users to be equipped with. However, that device will be on our bench for about an hour and a half. That's what we see in our labs. Once that device finishes provisioning, we'll be able to box it up and ship it directly to that end user. So Nancy at home will get this device. She'll then log into it. Keep in mind, everything is already on this machine. It's been pre-provisioned already. So in about 5 minutes, Nancy will be able to log in and get straight through to a desktop, allowing her to get right back to work. From the moment that Nancy and her team ordered this machine to the minute she is back online, we're seeing about 3 days total of downtime. Now, keep in mind, if you are not leveraging our warehousing services, and if you decide to not overnight the machine, say you want a standard ship or snail mail, this number could certainly increase in one direction or the other. This is just the average. Now, to put a nice pretty bow on everything we discussed today, I know we're running low on time and we are a little over. Windows Autopilot will be able to function with any OEM device that runs the Windows operating system. So that means your Surface machines, your Lenovo, your Dell, your HP, you name it. And conveniently here at Insight, we have partners and partnerships with all of these manufacturers. So if you're interested in demo or trialing one of these machines, whether it's an AMD or an Intel CPU or processor, we'd be more than happy to get you some trial machines to test Windows 11 in your environment, or even test Autopilot in your environment. Insight is also a CSP provider, a cloud solution provider, and an enterprise agreement reseller. So if you need assistance with any licensings in regards to, of course, Microsoft or Intune in general, we could give you a hand there. We could have those conversations with you and even apply licensing as needed to help your users and ensure they are properly licensed. Now, in regards to the Intune and Entra configurations for Autopilot, we have plenty of solutions in play to give you a hand. Right off the bat, we have workshops and envisioning sessions that are low cost or no cost to your team to help you learn about the technology as well as how to implement it into your existing environment. And of course, we could take that the next step to any sort of pre-sales discussion or managed service that may or may not be needed. If you want someone in there to get this stood up, in a week you have a rough time frame, we could certainly assist there as well. Enrolling the machines to Intune is a step that is required for the Autopilot to be successful. Here at Insight, we will enroll the machines into your Intune portal at no cost. So it's something that we'll do for free. It's fully automated here. We've been uploading machines to Autopilot since the technology came out about 5 years ago. And we are doing about a little under 300,000 machines annually at this point. All it takes to get that stood up is a reseller relationship across Microsoft Partner Center. We do not require any level of admin permissions here at Insight. We also do not require any sort of credentials to make this process happen. It's passwordless, authenticationless, and as I said, we do not need any level of admin privileges. So if there are security concerns there, squash that. And I did touch on our two provisioning methodologies. If the device is enrolled prior to it arriving at the end user, once they sign in, they'll experience about roughly 2 hours of downtime before they can get to work. Optionally, we could pre-provision that machine here at Insight to ensure that it is fully ready to go when that end user or when that machine arrives at the end user. Pre-provisioning of the machine will also remove any DOAs, dead on arrivals, any cracked screens, as our lab techs will be able to boot up that device and ensure functionality across the board. So next, moving on, I want to dive into some polls that we do have here. The first one being, are you interested in learning more about Windows Autopilot or speaking with our team about your existing deployment strategy? And while that's going, I will take the time to scroll through the chat here to answer some of these questions. I'll give you all a few minutes to hop on that poll.
I also wanted to reiterate, sorry, Matt, before you kind of jump in and answer some questions. If you're able to answer all the poll questions we had today, we will enter you into a special giveaway. So do make sure you get your answers in before time's up. Back to you, Matt.
Awesome. There's a question here. How has Insight White Glove Service transformed the modern user experience with devices? And can you share specific instances where this personalized approach has significantly enhanced efficiency? So right off the bat, a lot of the clients who I speak to nowadays, the basis of what they're looking for with their new employees is that new employee experience. I've personally never run into this, but I do talk to clients all the time. The biggest nightmare I've heard is when a new employee gets a machine and it's not functional. On their first day of work, nothing is operational. They can't sign in, they can't get to their email. It's a horrible onboarding experience. Given that these devices are pre-provisioned, you will have the ability to verify functionality before this device either leaves your location or our warehouse. It's also worth mentioning that pre-provisioning our white glove service can be scaled up and down as needed. So of course, if you'd like all of your users to have their machines pre-provisioned, we could support that. If you'd only like your C-suite, your executive levels to have that white glove onboarding experience for a new machine, we could certainly support that as well. All right, looks like we have about 100 submissions for the poll. I gave it about a minute, so we're going to move on to the next one now. Are you interested in testing a Windows 11 device for 30 days? And I know I highlighted this before and it is on screen, but we do have the options for AMD and Intel trial devices. And there's another question here that I wanted to call out. How does Insight's white glove service improve the user experience and reduce setup time for new machines? I think I touched on the user experience. However, the setup time I did want to highlight again. So with the standard enrollment of an Autopilot machine, you'll have to test within your environment how long it takes for that machine to fully enroll. Depending on the amount of applications that you're pushing down to that device, that can expand or increase or decrease exponentially. So of course, test first. However, we see about an hour to an hour and a half standardized on a normal deployment. If these machines are white gloved, we're taking that hour and a half time off of the end user and taking it and putting it on Insight's plate, or of course on the plate of you and your IT admins. Now, no one has to physically do anything. The machine will provision in the background on its own. However, this won't occur when the end user receives the machine. It'll be about 5 minutes and they can get straight to work. And this time period that I have been, I lost my train of thought. This time period I've been referencing can change exponentially depending on the broadband of the end user who is booting up that device. Another reason why I recommend pre-provisioning, if you do have remote end users, you then get to leverage the broadband of Insight's labs or your own labs. And I can confidently say that the broadband at Insight's labs is better than I have in my house. So I have no concerns in that field. And once again, we have about a quorum of responses for the poll. So I'm going to push it on. I think we have one more behind us. Which manufacturers for devices are you interested in? And once again, the choices are Acer, Dell, HP, Lenovo, and Microsoft Surface. And I am seeing some responses in the chat that the poll is not showing, or at least submitted in the questions box.
It should be. it looks like some people are definitely able to submit answers. It might just be that they need to refresh their browser. Could be an issue with the connection.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, for sure.
But once again, I think that wraps up this poll. Now, nicely, we have once again a quorum of submissions. So I am going to flip now to just our Q&A phase. If there are any questions that y'all have, please do not hesitate to drop them in the box. If by chance you did ask a question and it's something that has not yet been answered yet, please do not hesitate to just bring it right up to the front and center, just so that we have it here. And we will take the next 10 to 15 minutes while everyone's still around to dive into some of those questions that arise.
Thank
Luke,
you,
did
Matt.
you have anything you wanted?
Yeah, I'll raise some questions. So we have someone asking if we're looking to expand services to interested countries in Africa. And then someone is also asking on a related note if we do laptop management worldwide.
Understood. So bear with me. I'm pulling up the list now on my other monitor so I can get you all the countries that we can do business in. Unless Brian has that while I'm searching.
That'd be fantastic, because that was what I was going to reference. We do have, obviously, in EMEA and APAC our own capabilities, but there are some countries that we leverage partners. I believe there's a whole map that Matt, you might be pulling up right now that we can reference where we have our own presence versus partner presence.
So the list I have is relating directly to Autopilot. So the countries, yeah, unfortunately, I do not have the one. Let me search our website for you while we're all here.
Thank you. And while Matt looks at that, Brian, we have a couple more I'll just bring up if you don't have to run. Chris wants to know how Insight addresses interoperability challenges in hybrid IT environments during device integration.
Yeah, that's a good question. That team doesn't personally live underneath my umbrella, but I will tell you that we have a whole team that is dedicated to educating our clients and assisting in troubleshooting when we are putting new technology that's working alongside existing age technology. We actually have a couple centers across North America where we maintain data centers and technology, both that has powered, either been provided by manufacturers or is legacy Insight gear that was powering our data centers at one point. We maintain an active data center in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and in Hanover Park, Illinois, where our clients can put hands on with our technical teams, and we can help you work through those challenges. That team reports up through Juan Orlandini, our CTO.
Thank you. Great answer. I also have kind of a similar question from Liam asking, is the integration of Insight services with a diverse range of existing IT infrastructures, what challenges might businesses encounter during the integration process?
Yeah, can you read that off again? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. It looks like, sorry, it's
what question number
a little
is it?
weird.
Do you have it?
36.
36.
Yes.
Seamless is the integration of Insight services with a diverse range of existing IT infrastructure. What challenges might businesses encounter during? Yes, kind of the same answer, right? Depending on the, what you're going to be, if we're talking about devices, if we're talking about data center, if we're talking about networking, I can tell you that, we personally deal with this in our own centers as we upgrade technology. We run into issues where potentially softwares don't work with the new technology. We will definitely work with clients in pilot phases, proof of concept phases, in some scenarios, testing that product in our own environment. in order to ensure that it's going to seamlessly translate within your environment. Again, depending on what types of devices we're talking about, it would more than likely live with our CTO team under Juan Orlandini.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then I have another one asking if Insight collaborates with device manufacturers to provide tailored solutions, and how does this collaboration contribute to the overall value offered to clients?
Yeah, we definitely do. I will tell you that one manufacturer who's really great at this, and we're constantly looking at new technologies, is Samsung. They just do a phenomenal job of kind of bringing in new tech, showing how their tech works with other manufacturers, et cetera. And we constantly are having ideation sessions here talking about scan technology, mobile technology, et cetera. But there's also another project going on at Insight that's being led by our product management organization to link up manufacturers, creating verticals that would provide more return to our clients, a better experience, and creating tailored solutions for our clients. So again, kind of a there's multiple teams working on this depending on the type of technology that exists. But we are almost always, and I'll tell you, in running a service where we are highly dependent on the latest technology, we're constantly running into this ourselves, right? Like, what type of print technology works with what types of end user devices, works with what types of network, what do I have to do to my network to ensure that the print technology and end user devices work, et cetera. So luckily, part of our role is we get to play with that a little bit. We obviously get to work with a lot of the manufacturers, but we could definitely have those conversations with our CTO office and give you some of those pointers.
Thank you. And then I think the last three questions I have here have some overlap, so I'm just going to read them all at once. Emily wants to know what level of customer support can clients expect, and how are service level agreements structured to guarantee timely and effective responses to issues or challenges. And then I have another one asking if you can share insights on how businesses can optimize costs related to device management through the use of Insight's services and integrations. And then the final one kind of ties into what you're just talking about. It says, how seamlessly does Insight's services integrate with existing IT infrastructure and systems, and what steps are taken to ensure minimal disruption during implementation?
Sure. We're big fans of pilots and proof of concepts, right? So we obviously would not want to just run into an environment and try a new technology without having tested it, or doing a pilot, or doing a proof of concept. When it comes into one of our centers, we do a proof of concept on everything, period. Right? I mean, we've had in the past where clients have approached us and said, "Hey, look, it's just an asset tag. It's just a kit. I don't need you to do a proof of concept." Right? But we've learned that the best way to service our clients is to do that proof of concept, to ensure that we're always getting out into the field exactly what they want, and it's going to work. And a lot of times we do recommend pilot phases, especially if they're going to be large rollouts, to ensure that we don't have any issues when it gets out of the field. But we can't stop all of them. I actually, unfortunately, am dealing with an experience right now where a client of ours started deploying replacement servers, and in the proof of concept and in pilot that was managed at their own facility. We didn't have a stake in that ourselves personally, but when they deployed a number of these services, and they're a fast food chain, they were deploying new servers to all of their restaurants, and a couple of those servers started to have software issues, and it immediately depleted we do a sustainability program for them, depleted a lot of our seed stock. Now, we've worked with them to bring some aged servers back to life, get those stores back up and running. But definitely spend the time on the proof of concept, spend the time on the pilot before you go into any of these sizable rollouts. And then don't know that I fully answered what level of customer support can clients expect service level agreements. So our service level agreements are very customizable. We do offer a wide range depending on what the client's looking for. Some clients are looking for same-day services, right? And we can offer that solution. Some clients are saying, hey, look, I don't care if you slow roll it to me, right? If it takes 4 or 5 days, that's fine. I don't even have a teammate starting for 2 months or 2 weeks. So I don't need it right away. So, we can definitely tailor service level agreements to whatever the client is looking for. And then what level of customer support, I think I answered this in one of the 2 questions that I was able to respond to. It's very customizable to what that client's need is. In some scenarios, it's, hey, I enter an order, and if it shows up in 5 to 10 days, I'm fine with that. In other scenarios, it's, hey, I have a data center that I'm standing up, and I need it to show up on February 5th, right, period. And we can have project managers, we can have account managers, we can have logistics coordinators, whatever's necessary to meet those dates, engaged appropriately up front to make sure that we can give you that support. In a lot of scenarios when we're doing those types of date-specific deployments, our clients are looking for a single point of contact. We can provide what we call a deployment manager as well to bolt on to assist and act as that conduit into our operation, give that visibility to our clients.
Thank you. I think that's all of our questions. Matt, did you happen to pull anything up about that global support question?
Yes, I was. So I was able to find, and Rachel, I'll ask you to write down the contact of the individual who did ask that question, because I have the answer partially. So I was able to locate which of the countries that or regions that Insight can do business with directly. So not leveraging our partners, or not leveraging our, what's the term I'm thinking of? Alliance partners, if you will. And let me just read that off for you. That starts with Austria, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Switzerland, Germany, Spain, France, the United Kingdom, Hong Kong, Ireland, Italy, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Sweden, Singapore, and the United States. And I can get that sent out in the chat here for anyone who needs it. However, for the countries that we have to leverage alliance partners, I do not have that list. I got to go digging for it. I want to get that sent out via email to whoever asked. So my apologies on that one.
Sounds good. Yeah. You know who you are. I took down your names. We'll follow up with you as soon as we can.
Matt, if you need any help there, I can get in contact. That list is somewhat always changing depending on what's going on in the world. But I can help with getting the most up to date if you need help.
Appreciate it, Brian.
Great. And one final question popped in here, and then we'll be done for today. Paul wants to know, how crucial is AI and automation in helping to optimize asset management and the related workflow and achieve SLAs/KPIs? And if so, do the rapid development in AI models that may be used make it more challenging to use them?
Well, I think it's important to delineate, right? That when we're talking about the AI that we're utilizing, the AI we're utilizing is not generative AI, right? I think that nowadays, especially when we say AI, everybody thinks that we're using like a ChatGPT, generative AI. We're utilizing machine learning, right? Which is essentially going to be looking at the products that are coming in, the products that are going out. Do we see trends annually? Do we see, is it cyclical at all? Is the trend increasing, decreasing, et cetera? So we'll be utilizing in our facilities more of a machine learning AI and automation versus generative AI. There's definitely use cases within our facility around generative AI and that we are exploring today. But I would say, we've embraced more of machine learning, even down to like visual inspection machine learning through like IBM Maximo versus generative AI. I hope that answers the questions, but the ability to utilize the AI and the machine learning will drive KPIs and SLAs by ensuring that the appropriate materials are in the appropriate spot when it's time to pick, versus having to go into racks and into different storage types instead of utilizing our automation.
Thanks,
All
Brian.
right, I
Really
believe
appreciate
that's
you
it.
answering. Sorry, Rachel. Didn't
No,
mean
no,
to
you're
jump in
good.
there for you. But yeah, I don't think any other questions came up in the chat. And if some do come in, we will make sure someone reaches out with an answer to you. But we'll go ahead and wrap it up, I think. What do you guys say?
Sounds great.
Fun.
Cool.
Thank you,
Thank you for your time
everyone.
today.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.
Take care.